us start with our extinction segment, some issues there as well. First of all, I can say regarding the Ukraine war, which is a big issue, but it's falling kind of like low in the news. And you have both sides say they're winning the war. As always, all the military always ace, on each side say, we're doing just great, The 60s and 70-year-old people make the war, and the 20 and the 30-year-olds fight it and die for it. Would you die for Al Capone? Well, these people say that they're dying for the country, which is more or less the same thing. Anyway, so there's not much going on there. We're waiting for them to reach some kind of agreement, some kind of treaty. And all those people who died, well, nobody will remember them, for sure. In fact, all I can say to you is the following. Do you remember anyone who died in the Civil War or in World War I or the Napoleonic Wars? Well, of course not. Nobody remembers them. And even if you did, it doesn't do them any good. They're out. Okay, so much for that, but let me look at something else. There's this fellow I talked about a couple times now, because it's been on the news lately. His name is Avi Loeb. I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name. And he's a Harvard professor. And this is the issue. The issue is that if you're a Harvard professor, like in astrophysics, well, you got a big title. And so you have a lot of persuasion power, right? So people listen to them thinking that they're going to get some information that's valuable. And this fellow is into ETs. He's trying to push this this issue into the public, possibly to become famous, make some money, all of that, or all of the above, And this fellow, sometime back, a couple of years back, he was the guy involved with see if I can get it here, dropped on the other side. Give me a second here. Let me get it up there again. And he's the guy who came up with the umama, as I call it, the umama. A little stone, elongated stone, flat stone that came into our solar system, and he was one of the first to say that it came out of the solar system, maybe from another galaxy, and that maybe it was a piece of some artificial artifact, and that it kind of indicates that there are ETs out there that maybe are trying to even communicate with us. Okay, so this is one of the issues. That's how it started, but then I think it was a couple months back, they found some spherules. I think it was in the Pacific. I can't remember now exactly where. And this is what they think they are. One guy thinks it's a dino killer, or something similar to an asteroid that killed the dinos, and that maybe it was artificial. Okay. And the important thing here is what that first line there, it says, it would be among the most extraordinary discoveries in scientific history. Fragments of an alien spacecraft from another solar system that landed on Earth. And, well, it would be an extraordinary discovery, but science is not about discovering America, like Columbus did. Science is about explaining. You have to explain something, otherwise you're not a scientist. These people confuse discovering and simply describing for science, and that ain't so. And so it says, analysis of the spherules composition proves they came from where? Beyond the solar system, okay? So some rocks that came from outside the solar system, but he takes it one step further and insinuates that these spherules are actually artificial. Okay, and I guess you know what that means. It means ETs, some people are trying to communicate with us or sent them over for who knows what reason. And says some scientists around the world have treated his claim that he found alien artifact with a lot of skepticism. Okay, and so he's trying to push this at all costs. Anything he finds out there, he immediately identifies as ET, and intelligent life and someone trying to communicate with us, he's into that. And he's a professor of Harvard. And that's why it's a little dangerous, because of all the influence that he has, all the power he has simply by his authority. Another reason why you should reject authority in science. No such thing as authority, and no such thing as description or discovery. Okay, we don't discover anything in science. In science, we explain. Okay, and that's where the problem starts. Okay, and so this is some of the opinions that people had about him. These are some astrophysicists, pulled out 4 of them out of an article. And so they all believe that, or some of them believe that, yeah, they could be outside of the solar system. Others believe it could be artificial. They all give that possibility. And some say, like Martin Rees there says, he doesn't agree with that at all. He doesn't think it's artificial. Okay, he questions that. He realizes what Loeb's trying to do. He's just trying to get this pet peeve, into the public eye so that he can become famous and make money and who knows what. Okay, and you can see some of the comments there. One fellow says, and all these are astrophysicists, by the way. First one there, Phil Sutton says, I don't think you can rule out that it could be an alien spacecraft. Or an object similar to what wiped out the dinosaurs, hit a planet in another star system, and sent some material out. What if another civilization found us before we found them and sent probes out? And you wonder, these people are scientists, and they have these ideas about, how the universe works and what's out there. So these people are totally lost. Another one, Monica Grady, says, Loeb's work is not sufficiently convincing to say the metal particles definitely from a meteorite, let alone an alien spaceship. Could be from a supernova or exploding star. And could have been made on Earth as a side effect of nuclear weapons testing, because it was found near a nuclear site, okay, or where they do some atomic work, And another one says it is credible that they have a unique extrasolar composition. The discovery has merit scientifically, does it? But is being cheapened and undermined by claims of alien technology. Well, the problem with all these comments is that they have nothing at all to do with science. That's the problem with it. Science is about explaining, not about discovering. Even if we discovered an alien spaceship landing on top of the White House, it would not have anything to do with science. Okay? Or you can say the scientific part would be, if anything, explaining something about it, about that event. But if you just say, look, we discovered America, we discovered a chair, I discovered the wall, I bumped into it, that's not science. Okay, so we have to keep in mind what science is, and these people have the wrong notion of science. So let's look at this. What is a scientific method? What is it about, and how does it compare to what these people do? Well, what scientific method is not is evidence, proof, persuade, and convince, which is what all these people are trying to do. They're saying, look, I'm going to convince you that this thing came outside the solar system, okay? And that it's a, some will say, well, yeah, it's just a rock, and the others will say it's artificial. But other than that, they're all anyways in the wrong boat. They're all talking about evidence, proof, and persuasion, convincing people. That's got absolutely nothing to do with science. Then you have here the real scientific method, and it's assumption. You make an assumption to understand the theory. You make an assumption, you say, let us assume God exists. That's an assumption, okay? And then you explain your theory, you say, this is how God created the universe. Okay, no problem. Then it's consistent. You have an assumption, you make an assumption that God exists, and everybody should understand that, is an object with location, and then you proceed with your theory and say, this is how God made the universe. He put it in his assembly line, built this, and that, no problem. He explained how the universe was made according to his way of thinking, this presenter, okay? And these people don't do that. They say, let me convince you. Let me convince you that this came out of the solar system. Let me convince you, let me persuade and recruit you to my way of thinking that this was created by artificial intelligence. Okay, so no, we have the wrong scientific method in the minds of all these people, and this is what they pass on to the next generation, from generation to generation. Okay, so this is the problem. Okay, so here's the mathematical method, and this is how this Avi Loeb this is what he's trying to do. Okay, you can see it here. Okay, here's the mathematical method. You see a bee flying around a flower. You conclude that such symbiotic perfection could only be accomplished by an intelligent designer. This proves that God exists. Straightforward. Okay, this is what he's trying to do. He's saying, look, I saw the bee flying around a flower. What else could it be if not God? Okay? Who created this perfection? And likewise, this Loeb is doing the same thing. He's trying to persuade the crowd that his careful studies prove that the spherules came out of another galaxy. But having established his first proof, right, his initial proof, he moves on to another proof. He attempts to persuade the throng that spherules are artificial, meaning that some intelligent ETs made it. So he went from evidence to proof and then used that as further evidence or as an assumption for a further proof. So he's just doing proof and evidence. That's all he's doing. He's doing persuasion and convincing. At no point did he do any science. Okay, he's just giving us his opinion, and he's trying to shove it down your throat. That's what they consider science. Okay, and this is the real problem. The problem is the notion that these people have of science and the one that they spread in the universities to the new generations, and they've been doing this for decades now. Okay. Okay, to top it off, you know, since this subject is so popular, turns out that there were some issues where Congress held a hearing on ETs, especially on, you know, unidentified flying objects, and they wanted to get to the bottom of it. As a result, apparently someone gave the order, and this is what they've done. You know, the Pentagon releases a new website where they're going to put all the UFOs, you know, the photographs and whatever they have on unidentified flying objects that they've collected over the years. Okay, so you can go to that site and see that. And I think what's going to happen here is that, you know, people are still going to have doubts. They're going to say, well, you didn't put everything out there. You just put the stuff to convince us that you know nothing about extraterrestrial aliens. And this is the problem. You'll never be able to convince those people, because the person who's got it in his mind that ETs are here and that they built the pyramids and who knows what else, you're never going to convince them. You know, they're just going to insist that, oh, you're hiding something, and you know, there's no hoax regarding ETs. It's you know, the crop circles and all this stuff. Oh, that's real. It's done by ETs, and the government knows it, but they don't want to tell us. And now they put this site, and they're just trying to convince us with this fake evidence or little evidence that they have. They just put it out there to please the crowds, but the real evidence, they're hiding it over there, you know, in Washington, very closely guarded. Okay, so this is how these people think, and I don't think you're going to ever be able to convince them. Okay, that's my thought on that. Just in case, like if you missed something here, you have the Exeter UFO Festival. Turns out there was an incident at Exeter. I don't even know where this is. Somewhere, I think Connecticut or Massachusetts, somewhere up there. I didn't check. Anyways, they have this celebration because there was a sighting in 1965, and there you can see the newspaper, what they were talking about, you know, how it became news in those days. And they said they saw a red light flying object. Great, red lighted flying object. And because of this, you know, now they have this festival, and you have even people speaking, so-called experts, says to talk Bigfoot, UFOs, and preparing for life with ETs. Okay, so as you can see, you know, all these people are a lot of people are into this, and some people are making big money on this, or at least they they try to, talking about stuff like this, like, you know, Bigfoot and ETs, and, you know, that man didn't go to the moon, and that the earth is flat, and who knows what else. And a lot of, it's a cottage industry with all these people who, you know, essentially, you know, disagree with the government, or believe that the government is hiding something, and they have all these shadows that are following them, you know. I don't know how they sleep at night. Okay, and just in case, you know, that followed up, Exeter came after this, Roswell, that most people are more familiar with, and that's happened in 1947. This came out of the Wikipedia. It says that recovery of metallic rubber debris from a military balloon by Roswell Army Airfield, and the press release announcing possession of a flying disc. Decades later, conspiracy theories claim that debris from the alien spaceship had been covered up by the government. In response, in 1994, the U.S. Air Force published a report concluding the crashed object was a top-secret nuclear test surveillance balloon from Project Mogul. Okay, great. So people won't believe that, and they'll say, no, it was a flying saucer. It came from outer space. You know, so it makes you wonder about all these people. There's no way you're ever going to convince them. He who wants to believe just believes without any reason. They don't even try to explain it. They just believe it. Okay, and so what can I give you as my conclusions? Okay, regarding all these ETs. I've said a couple times these conclusions, but here I summarize them. Humans have the highest level of intelligence that Father Universe can conceive or grant or concede. There is no higher intelligence in the entire universe than what we have in our brains. And I don't know what kind of intelligence people expect, those who believe in super intelligence. Maybe their mothers did not give them enough intelligence, and they're complaining about that. But no, Mother Nature has ran out of gifts to give us. We are the highest intelligence possible in the universe. It'll never get better than humans anywhere in the universe, anywhere in time. Okay? If there's human level intelligence somewhere in the universe, it looks like us. Okay? I like to say that intelligence of our level, right, descends from the trees. Okay? You will not see lions that are intelligent as us. You will not see fish. You will not see birds. Okay? It's got to be something like us. It's got to be a monkey. It can't be anything else. It's got to be a four-legged, bipedal monkey. It can't be a four-legged, you know, quadrupedal. Okay? Humans cannot travel to another star and never will. There's no way we can make it to the nearest star, let alone to, I don't even think we'll ever make it to Pluto or places like that. We might, if time allows, make it to Mars. I even doubt that, but it could happen. You know, that's a possibility. I think we can send probes to Mars, unmanned probes. We can probably send robots there. But another thing is to send a human. You know, you got to train a lot, you got to study a lot, you know, gravity and time away from base, and so there's a lot of issues to be dealt with, you know, when you're sending someone as far away as Mars, and that's the nearest planet almost. You know, I think it's the second nearest planet after Venus. So you know, we're never going to go to another star. We might make it to Mars at best. The chances of human spacecraft reaching a human-level civilization are next to nil. And I'm not talking about manned spacecraft. That's impossible. But we can send a spacecraft like you got the two Pioneers, 10 and 11, going out of the solar system. What are their chances of ever being spotted by another civilization? And my answer is none. And I'm being kind or unkind. Really, I should say next to none. So I'm not so absolute, but I think it's closer to none than to next to none. Okay, that's my honest opinion there. Okay, why? Distance is forbidding. Okay, the distances are impossible. That's one issue. But even worse is time. Time is staggered. for different civilizations. And so when we live, last 200 years, that's when we had electronics, when we developed electronics. Let's concede the full 200 years, even though that's not true either. We didn't really have sophisticated devices until the 20th century, so we can just say that's been 100 years. But let's concede 200 years. 200 years is a drop of water, even less than a drop of water in the ocean of the universe, in both space, really, on the one hand, but in time, in terms of time. And so here you have 200 years, then we go extinct, okay, because we're about to become extinct. And this is going to happen to any civilization like us, any humans like us that live elsewhere, which is already quite scarce. And for our spaceship to reach their neighborhood, one, not crash against anything by the time they get there, and to hit it in those 200 years in which they have developed their technology to be able to spot these things, the chances are zip. So we shouldn't send them out to talk to someone. Besides, we'll never we'll never find out whether someone really saw it anyways. But I don't think that'll ever happen anyways, that the probe arrives at another place that is seen by another group of human civilization with intelligence to spot it, and then it happens to land, in someone's backyard or whatever. What are the chances of all that? It's zip. It's absolutely zip. More than likely, those probes are going to crash against something somewhere, fall into some sun, some star, and that'll be the end of it. So, no, and now let's look at it in reverse. Someone sent something out from, some other planet. Well, the first thing is they would have to more or less live around the same time as us. In other words, by the time the probe gets to us, their spaceship gets to us, they're gone. But it should arrive, by the time we live in those 200 years, and that we developed electromagnetic technology. And the issue is, what are the chances of that? How many probes are there going out there coming in our direction? And again, my answer is none.